myself Dr. M. Laxmidevi, Associate Professor in the Department of CSCDS at Institute of Aeronautical Engineering. In this video lecture, we learn about the concept of structures and the concept of structures along with array of structures in C language. So what is, before seeing the concept or before discussing the concept of array of structures, we'll revise once again what is structure is, what is the use of structures, and what is the definition of structures. So in order to store multiple data of different data types under the same name, we use structures. So we have seen that, so in order to store multiple data of different data type under the same name, we use structures. So structure is a user-defined data type which allows us to group together data of different data types under a single name. So we can combine. So we can say that structure is a user-defined data type. So we can combine data of different data types under the same name, under the single name, you can say. So for example, we have seen struct student. So this is how we can declare a structure. We have to use the keyword struct followed by the name of the structure, and in curly braces you need to specify the members of the structure. So what details you need to store? So different data types. So structure combines different data types together. So for example, character, you have name 30, and then int id, and then float marks. So this is a structure named student. So it combines relative data of different data types. Like first member belongs to an array of characters, second member is integer type, and the third one is float type. So we have seen the use of this structure data type for real life applications. So in order to maintain library records, we can use the structures, the concept of structures, because there we need to store the details of the book, like author name, book ID, and subject. So all of them, they belong to different data types. So in order to maintain student records also, like mark sheets, so we need to store information about the student details like name. So for a particular student, the student has his or her name, then ID will be given, and then marks stored under the same name. So we have seen the structure, how to define a structure and how to declare a structure. So these are two different ways in which we can declare a structure variable. So structure definition, this is the structure definition. So struct is the keyword, name of the structure is student, and inside the curly braces we need to mention the members of the structure. So what information this structure student will have, for what particular purpose this structure has been created, student, and what information it will have. So that is what this structure definition will display, or it gives the information about. So this is how we can declare a structure variable. So S1 is a structure variable belonging to the type struct student. So here itself, this is one way of declaring a structure variable. This is other way of declaring a structure variable. So here itself, after the structure definition, we can specify the variable associated with this. We can specify the variable, that is S1. Next, we have seen structure initialization. So we can initialize structure by using three different methods. First one is using initializer list. So using initializer list, so in the main function, we have seen using initializer list, we specify all the values of all the data members of this particular variable. So each variable has three attributes. So S1, so this is a variable of type struct student, and struct student has three attributes, name, ID, and then last is marks. So this is how we can assign the values to the variable. Next is using assignment operator. So by using assignment operator, we can assign values to each member of the structure. The other one is using designated initializer list. Here order is not important. We can assign values to the structure members in any order. So dot operator is used to access the structure members. In order to access the structure members, we can use the dot operator. So we have seen one example also. So this is an example where we have defined a structure student. It has three attributes, or there are three fields, you can say, name, ID, and marks. So in order to make use of this, so a memory for this structure is created, or memory for this is allocated only when the structure variable is declared. Until and unless the structure variable is declared, memory is not created for this. Only after declaring the structure variable, memory for this structure student is created. So then after this, we are assigning the values of we are assigning the values to the structure variable by using assignment operator, and then this is the piece of the code which is which displays the information which we have entered. Next, coming to the topic array of structures. So why we need array of structures? So till now we have seen that, so we have declared a structure S1, we have declared a variable S1 belonging to the type struct student. So struct student, so where we have stored information about only one student. So similarly, in order to store the information about another student, we need to create another variable, or we need to declare another variable S2. Suppose in a class there are 60 students. So in order to store information about 60 students, we need to declare 60 variables. So that becomes messy. So in order to avoid this, so we declare array of structures. So we declare array of structures. Suppose S1 of 60 means, so this is nothing but, so this will create a variable. This is an array of 60 elements belonging to the type struct student. So int, suppose for example int a of 5 means, what it does is, so here we are declaring an array A, name of the array is A, and its data type is, all the elements of the array they are belonging to the type integer. Whereas if you declare it in this way, struct student S1 of 60, so here name of the array is S1 and it stores the information about, so it has the size of this array is 60 and all the elements of this array they belong to the type struct student. So that is what it means. So suppose we need to store information about different people, like their names and ages. So suppose we need to store information about people, so related information like their name and corresponding age. So to group together data of different types under a single name, we know that we can use structures. So structure is like a template. So structure definition is like a template which defines how data for each person should be organized. So structure, you can say that it is like a blueprint for a house. It defines the layout and types of rooms, but doesn't represent a specific house. So when we define a structure, it is just a blueprint, so that you can consider like a blueprint for a house. So unless and until you construct a house, or so that case you can consider that unless and until you create a variable of that particular type, so memory cannot be allocated. So similar here also, unless and until you actually construct a house, so then you can realize all the, a structure is like a blueprint for a house. It defines the layout and types of rooms but doesn't represent a specific house. A structure defines what information is stored and what types they are like. So let us see one example. Structure definition. So related to a person. So here we have created a structure. Struct, we are using the keyword struct. Name of the structure is person, and in this this structure has two attributes, name and then age. So this name, these are the two members. So these are members of this structure. So it has two members, or you can say two attributes are there for this person. So name and age. So we are defining a structure named person that holds a person's name as an array of characters. So this is an array of characters and their age is an integer. Next, declaring an array of structures. So let us see how we can declare an array of structures. So an array of structures is like a collection of the blueprints for each person. So array ensures that all the structures, they are stored in a row, making it easy to manage and access. So for example, if you create a variable in this way, so here name of the array is people, so size of this array is 3. So this is an array of 3 person structures. So this is an array of the type struct person. So here you can store information about 3 peoples. So people 1, so people 1, 2 and 3. So we can and each people has 2 attributes. So those 2 attributes are, so people 1 has 2 attributes, people 2 has 2 attributes, people 3 has 2 attributes. So these 2 attributes are name and age. So this has 2 attributes, name and age. This has 2 fields, you can say name and age, because there are 2 members defined in the structure declaration. There are 2 members defined in the structure, so that is name and age. So corresponding to each element of the array, you can say that, so each element of the array will hold the data type of, will hold the data type of this type, that is struct person. So here we have declared an array named people, so that can hold up to 3 instances of the person structure. So each element in the array is a structure which can hold the details of one people. Now let us see how to store the data in the array. So in order to store the data in the array of structures, we can use a loop. So we can, so or you can say in order to initialize the values to array of structures, we can use loop, or we can use the initialize, we can use the dot operator. We can use the dot operator or use assignment operator. So use a loop to input. So initialization you can do by using 2 ways: compile time and runtime, static and runtime initialization. So static is done at compile time itself, and then runtime initialization you can do by using scanf function. So there the user will give the input. So use a loop to input the data for each people, or use assignment operator to assign values to the fields in the structure. So just in case of variables, you can assign 2 ways. So int a is equal to 5, this is called as static initialization. The other one, if you declare a variable int a, and then if you use scanf function, so %d and then ampersand a, so this is runtime initialization. So similarly, this is static initialization of the variable a. So similarly here also you can initialize the structure, array of structures 2 ways: static and runtime initialization. So this is an example of static initialization. So each element of the array can be accessed by, so people and then 0. 0 is the first element of the array. Dot name is, so each variable has 2 attributes, name and age. So there are 3 peoples, you can say. So people 1, 2 and 3. So each has 2 attributes, name and age. So in order to access this person's information, so we can iterate through the array for start with the index value 0. So this has index 1 and this has index 2. So people 1 dot name is assigned as Joe. People of 0 dot age is assigned as 25. So here we are assigning the name Joe and the age 25 to the first person structure in the array, or first element in the array. So we'll see the complete program for this. Next, in order to access, or in order to use the data, in order to display the information on the screen, we can use the for loop. We can use the loop. Once the data is stored, we can easily access it and use it. So loop through the array to process each person's data. So we can use for loop. So because we have we have 3 variables, so we have an array of 3 structures. We have an array of this is a struct person people. So here size of the array is 3. So there are 3 variables here, and the data type of this, each of the element of this array is struct person. So we need to loop it 3 times. So right from 0, so I less than 3. So this loop iterates through each person structure in the array and prints the name and age. Let us see the complete program for this. So here we will write a program, so where we are creating a structure named person, and the person has 2 attributes, name and, or you can say 2 members of the structure are name and age. So name is a character array and age is an integer type. So next, then after that, in the main function we are declaring the variable. So here variable is array of 3 person structures. So next we are initializing the values. So this is static initialization. So we are initializing the values while writing the program itself. So string copy, so we can initialize this value by using this dot operator, and in order to access each member we have to use dot operator along with the name of the variable. So here name of the variable is people, so people, name of the variable is people, and this is an array. Since it is an array, so we need to specify the corresponding index also, corresponding index dot name. So this will give the first people's name, and people dot of 0 dot age, this will assign the value of 25 to the first person's age. This is the string, this is the name of the person which is assigned to people dot name, the first person. So in this way we can assign all the values, and then in order to access and print the elements we can use the for loop. So for loop starting value is 0, I value starts from 0. So maximum 3 elements we have, so it is I less than 3. So I starts from 0, I less than 3 will give the values. So this is how after execution of this program we'll get the output as in this way. So person 1 name is Joe, age is 25. Person 2 has 2 attributes, his name and age. Name is Nisha and age is 30. And person 3, his name is Usha, her name is Usha and age is 22. So in this way, this is a simple program where we have seen how to declare a variable, how to use the concept of array of structures. So in array of structures, each element of the array is of structure type. So for example, this is the name of the array. The size of this array is 10. So that means it has 10 elements, and each element of the array, they belong to the type struct car. The data type of this array is struct car, and the struct car. So first we need to define this data type. So in order to define this data type, this is the definition. So this is the definition of this structure. So it has 3 attributes, or there are 3 members of this structure: make, model and year. So make and model, they belong to the data type of this is array of characters, data type of this model is array of characters, data type of this year is integer type. So we can access each element. So in order to make use of this definition, only when we create variables for this struct car, only when we create variable of this type, that is struct car, we can memory for this is allocated. So we can access each element. So suppose we have declared 10 elements of this array. So we can access each element by ARR car and then 0. Index starts from 0 to 9. So in order to access the first member, in order to access the first element, we have the index 0. In order to access the first element and then first member, so we can use ARR car of 0 dot make. In order to access the second member, ARR car 0 dot model. And in order to access the last member of the first element, so ARR car 0 dot value. So in this way, you can get a representation of how array of characters is represented. Next, this is an example where we have seen how do we represent array of structures. Next, one more example, array of structure student. So here we are using 2 header files, stdio.h and string.h, and this is a macro. So wherever we see this max, so there it is replaced by 2. So this is used to define the array size. So generally we can define the array size by using this preprocessor directive by hash define. Next, this is the structure definition. So name of the structure is student, and it has 3 attributes. There are 3 members of the structure: name, roll number and marks. So name is character array, roll number is marks, belongs to integer type, and marks they belong to float type. So example for this is a program. So here we have created variables. So variable is nothing but an array. So array size is 2. So max is nothing but 2 we have defined. So max is 2. So array size is 2. So this array, name of this array is student, its size is 2, and the data type of this array is struct student. So we have declared a variable I. So I is an integer variable. So in order this for loop is used to give the user, this is for runtime initialization. So in order to assign the values at runtime, so we are using scanf function. So this scanf function, so these set of statements are to be repeated corresponding to the number of elements here. So since there are two elements of this array, so array's index starts from 0, so it will run from 0, and so this loop will run 2 times. So user has to enter all this information. Next, in order to display the values which have been entered by the user, so this for loop can be used. So this simply prints, so whatever the user has entered the information, those values will be displayed on the screen. So this is the output of this program. So enter the details of student 1. So enter the name, suppose we are entering Joe. Then after that enter the roll number. So if we are entering the roll number as 1, 2, 3, so enter the marks, suppose we enter the marks as 95. So next enter the details of student 2. So enter the name is Nisha, suppose. So enter the roll number 345, enter the marks 98. So corresponding in this part of the code, so this part of the code will display this information, that is name, roll number and marks. So name is Joe, then roll number is 123 and marks are 95. Then name is, these are the attributes of the second object, you can say, or second element of this array. So Nisha, then roll number is 345 and then marks are 98. So in this way we can understand the concept of array of structures. So thus in this video lecture we have discussed about the concept, that is array of structures. So array of structures can be used where lots of information is to be stored. So in the next video lecture we'll discuss some more concepts of C programming. Until then, thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.